So this year's draft has one of the deepest running back classes we've seen in quite some time, and it just so happens that the Chiefs could benefit greatly if the right guy falls to them. Well, not only do I think this will happen, but when it does, it's going to open up the offense quite a bit and make them much more dangerous. So I've got to talk about who I think that could be, along with my reasons why and more. But first, how about those? Alright, so in several videos I've talked about round 1 or round 2 running backs that the Chiefs could end up getting, but what about somebody outside of round 1 or 2? They've had a few guys on top 30 visits that are worth talking about. One of them is probably an undrafted free agent that they could look at. Then there's several local guys that are also intriguing, so let's just get right into it. Before I talk about the running backs that they've had in on top 30 visits, it's worth noting that a top 30 visit is an in-house visit that an NFL team can have with a draft prospect. They can have up to, you guessed it, 30 of these visits, which is a time to speak with the guys, get to know them, and conduct permitted medical evals. That's why the top 30 visit with offensive tackle Josh Simmons out of Ohio State last Friday was important. Very important, in my opinion, because that let Rick Burkholder and his staff get a good look at his knee and see how they really feel about him before they even think about drafting him. Of course, if Simmons' medicals check out, KC will keep an eye on him in the draft, and if they have a true first-round grade on him and he falls into the 20s, he's a real possibility for them to go up and get if they find a suitable trade partner so they can go up and get him. I would think they have a first-round grade on Simmons since he was a top tackle prospect before the serious injury he suffered last year. Anyway, it's important to note that these top 30 visits are not on-field workouts. You cannot work the players out at all. That is forbidden by the NFL. The reason I don't always share in depth about every top 30 visit KC has is because sometimes players are brought in as a bit of a smokescreen and they weren't actually interested in them at all. I've heard a player say many times that when a team drafts him, they had no idea said team was even interested in them. No top 30 visit, no convos, nothing. So sometimes a top 30 visit means very little, but for what it's worth, you can't ignore them completely because each year the last few years, and probably even prior if I just looked it up, the Chiefs have had a few players in for top 30 visits that they ended up drafting or getting undrafted after the draft. In 2024, that included Carson Steele and Kingsley Suamataia. In 2023, they brought in Rashee Rice and BJ Thompson. Then in 2022, they had 3 players, Chris Oladokun, Jalen Watson, and Joshua Williams. So we might see a couple of players from the Chiefs' top 30 visits get drafted this year in 2025. And so far this year, here's a list of everybody that they've brought in that I could find. There's a bit of discrepancies depending on where you look, but I'm pretty sure this is the almost fully updated list. I'll be highlighting some of these guys leading up to the draft in some later videos, but for today, I want to talk about some running backs. This is a very deep running back class, and you could pretty easily argue a case that the Chiefs need to go and get a running back this year because Isaiah Pacheco is on the last year of his deal. Kareem Hunt and Elijah Mitchell are also on 1-year deals. So with that being said, one of the first running backs the Chiefs brought in for a visit so far is Jacory Croskey-Merritt out of Arizona. And I want to share about why he's an intriguing prospect for KC. But first, most of you, just like me, live very busy lives, and it's got us running around all over the place. For me personally, I don't travel much at all. Basically never leave my basement, but I need lunch to be as quick as humanly possible so I can make more content for all of you. Well, that's where the sponsor of today's video, Huel, is here to help. Huel is no prep meals that don't compromise your health, and after using them for a few months now, it's been a great fit for me and my busy lifestyle, plus it honestly tastes pretty freaking good. My wife also loves herself some Huel after her workout classes or in the morning when she doesn't want to eat a big breakfast, and that's a win-win for both of us. You see, Huel is ideal for when you're pressured for time, on the go, in a rush, or away from the kitchen. All you need is some cold water, 2 scoops of powder, and shake it off. That's it. You have a very convenient and nourishing meal in just seconds. I love Huel's Black Edition, which is their low-carb, high-protein powdered meal packed with 40 grams of protein plus 27 essential vitamins and minerals. It's also plant-based, gluten-free, and has no artificial sweeteners. And on top of that, Huel's products are designed by nutritionists and dietitians to give your body everything it needs from a healthy meal in an extremely easy and convenient way. In short, you get a high-quality, nutritious breakfast or lunch for just $2.50 a meal. I like that. So if you want to save money, time, and eat healthy, use code HBTC15 for 15% off your first Huel order plus a free t-shirt and shaker of $40 value. That's code HBTC15 for 15% off your first order. Link is in the description with all the terms and conditions there. Having a busy lifestyle shouldn't stop you from eating healthy, so check out Huel today. All right, Jacory Croskey-Merritt played 4 seasons at Alabama State before transferring to New Mexico in 2023, where he had his most productive season by far in his college career. Croskey-Merritt's got a 5th or 6th round grade on him in the eyes of Dane Brugler, with him projecting as an offense's change of pace weapon. He's got explosive footwork, showing nice acceleration, and has some nice hands in the screen game, catching passes out of the backfield from time to time. He's a bit inconsistent in pass protection, though, and sometimes tries to get a bit too cute with his footwork, resulting in no yards when if he just would have not been cute, he could have at least gotten a couple. He's also an older prospect. He'll be 24 on draft weekend, and for that reason alone, maybe KC could see him as a later round back, or maybe even he goes undrafted and they snag him there after the draft. He's 5'10", 206 pounds, and scored a 7.93 on his relative athletic score, with a below average shuffle and 3-cone, but a pretty decent 40, 20, and 10-yard split. Great vertical too. At 41.5 inches, he can go up and get it. I shared a bit ago that Jacory had his best season in 2023, while he rushed for nearly 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns, but then he transferred to Arizona in 2024 and barely played that year, only seeing the field in 1 game due to eligibility issues from his redshirt season at Alabama State in 2019. For what it's worth, he did have a standout Shrine Bowl performance back in January, so a couple months ago. He carried the ball 11 times for 97 yards and scored the only 2 offensive touchdowns in the East's 25-0 victory over the West. And then KC also either brought in or is scheduled to bring in Central Arkansas running back ShunDerrick Powell. He's a smaller bodied back, to say the least, 5'7", 183 pounds, ran a 4.4 40, but he's had 3 straight seasons of 1,000+ yards. 2024 was especially impressive as he had 1,300 yards on the ground, an 8.2 average, 14 touchdowns, and then an additional 318 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. He seems to be improving every single year, but I don't think he's a guy that KC drafts unless it's very late, like 7th round, because he's projected to go undrafted, so they very well could look at him after the draft. Now, the next running back is a bit more intriguing to me, and that was a back they had in today for a top 30 visit in Damien Martinez out of Miami. KCSN's draft guide. Check that out in the description. It is an awesome draft guide I use every single year. These guys know the Chiefs inside and out and are very studied up on the draft. It's not an ad. I just love their draft guide and use it every single year. Now, the KCSN draft guide, they comp him as a high fit to the team and say as a runner, Martinez kind of blends the best traits of Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, which is pretty intriguing considering, again, both of those guys could be gone next year. And sometimes I just want the strength of Pacheco and the vision of Hunt. So I like the idea of a combo hybrid, yes please. He's not really a third down back and does lack elite speed with a 4.5 140, so Pacheco is obviously faster there. However, he's still only 21 years old, and the 6', 217-pounder was the lead back in Miami's RPO-heavy offense. 71% of his 1,000 rushing yards last year came after contact, and he was 8th in this running back class in yards per carry, averaging 6.3 yards per pop. So I do like having a guy with the ability to shed would-be tacklers and fight for additional yards. On top of that, 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground, by the way. He caught 17 passes for 204 more yards in the air, so he can be used to catch some passes out of the backfield. He does lack that elite burst, I've already mentioned it, but he's not afraid to fight through contact, fumbled 0 times in 2024, and nearly 40% of his carries last year resulted in either a first down or a touchdown, and 19% of his runs went for 10+. And if that wasn't enough, he led all of college football in short yardage success rate. That, my friends, is production. He didn't play a lot of special teams, though, so where a lot of rookies need to earn their keep on special teams, he's a guy that could but does lack the experience. Regardless of that, if Damien Martinez is still available in the 3rd, or probably more realistically the 4th round, I think that's where more of his value would be in the 4th rather than the 3rd, he is definitely worth considering and could be productive in KC's offense as soon as this season. Think of a guy that can help offset the workload of Kareem Hunt on early downs and also just be around, raising the floor as part of the running back by committee. Maybe Elijah Mitchell, the running back KC signed in free agency, pans out this year and remains healthy, but he's missed a ton of playing time so far in his NFL career, including all of last year. So I love the idea of getting some sort of a dynamic back in this deep running back class. If the Chiefs are unable to get one of the backs with more hype, Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, etc., I've talked about a lot of these guys in previous videos, Damien Martinez should absolutely be on their radar a bit later in the draft. Now, where Damien Martinez does not excel as a third down back, the next running back I got to talk about could be their third down back if it all worked out. On April 7th, the Chiefs held their local pro day, and since KU's running back Devin Neal was considered local, he was able to attend this rather than taking up one of their top 30 visits. Devin Neal is roughly running back 10 to 15 in this year's draft class, depending on who you ask. Dane Brugler has him at running back 15 with the 4th round grade on him, but Neal could be an alternate consideration rather than Martinez if he is still available. He has some similarities to Martinez, near the same height and weight, a bit smaller, but 5'11", 213 pounds, also 21 years old, also doesn't have a lot of special teams experience. He also, I've said that word 50,000 times, has a bit more tread on the tires than Martinez with nearly 250 more rush attempts. Still though, he's patient behind his blockers, shows nice run balance, protects the football well, only 2 fumbles over the last 502 carries. I like that a lot. And he has been pretty healthy throughout his college career. He's had 3 straight 1,000 plus yard seasons with both 2023 and 2024 running in 16 touchdowns on the ground. He got better every year as a pass catching back as well, and is local to the Lawrence area, so I know Chiefs fans that are also KU fans would love for the guy to stay local and play for the Chiefs at the pro level. And on the subject of local guys, I figured I might as well also mention K-State's running back DJ Giddens. He boasts a 9.78 RAS, so a bit more of an athlete compared to some of these previous guys I mentioned, and has another high fit labeled by KCSN's draft guide for the Chiefs offense. He's another younger guy, 21 years old, which the Chiefs love, and you can argue that he's a bit more of a dynamic running back than Pacheco. Obviously, he hasn't played snaps at the NFL level, and you've got to prove yourself, but still, his vision has improved over the course of his college career, and he has a dangerous yards after catch ability in the open field on both checkdowns and screens. The 6', 212 two-year starter for the Wildcats had back-to-back impressive seasons as their starter. At least 1,200 yards in 2023 and 2024, and averaged an additional 270 yards per season through the air as a receiver. One of those, by the way, was an impressive deep wheel route where he showed pretty impressive ball tracking skills. Over his 25 starts, this is pretty crazy, he averaged 102.8 yards per game. That is very impressive, and he's got great lateral quickness with the vision to anticipate openings and get skinny, a great trait to help pick up additional yards. I think he's definitely another option KC could consider in the 3rd or 4th round, with some ranking him right around Cam Scadaboo and Devin Neal in their rankings. But hey, which running back from today's video would you like to see end up in KC if they don't end up getting a running back maybe 1st or 2nd round? They go round 3, 4, 5, maybe a UDFA as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?